Allow me to show you how to make a fish pie. Allow me to introduce you to the ingredients. We have 1 pound or 500 grams of potatoes, 1 pound or 500 grams of celeriac, 1 teaspoon of butter, 1 teaspoon of dried parsley, half a teaspoon of salt and pepper. For the pie mixture, we have 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 onion chopped, 1 leek chopped, 3.5 tablespoons of butter, 50 grams, 5 tablespoons of plain flour, 40 grams. We have 2 cups or 450 millilitres of skimmed milk with 1 bay leaf added, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of tarragon, half a teaspoon of dill, 1.3 pounds or 600 grams of smoked haddock pieces, 6 ounces or 165 grams of raw frozen prawns defrosted, 5 ounces or 150 grams of frozen peas and sweetcorn, half and half, and 2 tablespoons or 7 grams of parmesan cheese grated. Allow me to introduce the equipment we're going to need for today. So for the mash, we're going to need an ice cream scoop for serving, a spatula, a set of cups to fill the pressure cooker, a masher, a fork to fluff the mash, and a mixing bowl. We're also going to want a steamer basket to place our potatoes directly into for cooking, and a trivet to place the steamer basket directly on top of. And for the fish pie, we're going to need a few utensils amongst other things. Things like ladles, a serving spoon and a spatula. We're also going to want a trivet and a springform pan. And using a Pyrex dish, using heat-proof gloves, we can simply lift in and open the springform. If you wish to, you can add a side portion of veg. This is approximately 500 grams of broad beans, or 1 pound, and 500 grams of broccoli, or 1 pound. So let's get started. First of all, we want to remove our lid and adding 2 cups of water, approximately 500 millilitres. We can now add our trivet and our potatoes along with celeriac. We can place in the steamer basket. Check the lid to make sure it's set to sealed and not vent. And lock the lid in place. We now want to set the cook time for 15 minutes. Using turbo mode, we can take that down to 9 minutes. Now that the pressure cooker has come up to pressure, the timer has begun. For regular, it's going to be 15 minutes, and for turbo, it's going to be approximately 9 minutes. Now that the timer is finished, we can instantly depressurize. If you wish to, you can simply use a tea towel and place over the top for the vent. Now that the pot's depressurized, we can simply remove the lid. It's at this point we want to remove the potatoes and the celeriac and add them directly into the mixing bowl. We can now remove the steamer basket and give that a wash, remove the trivet, and give our pan a quick rinse. Using a masher, we now want to give that a mash. And at this point, we want to add our butter, the parsley, and the salt and pepper. We now want to give that another good mash and mix in all the ingredients. And now we have our mash, we can simply place this to one side. We're now ready to start the fish pie. So for the filling, we want to select brown, saute and start. We can now add the olive oil. Now that we're nearly up to full temperature, we can add our onions. And the leeks. And we're going to leave those for a couple of minutes to fry. And now the leeks and the onions have suitably softened, we can add the butter. After approximately 1 minute, we can now add the flour. And giving that a good stir to combine, we now want to add the milk, approximately 1/3 at a time. And including the bay leaf, we just need to stir to combine. Once the sauce has developed a slightly creamy texture after a few minutes, we can then add our smoked haddock. It's advisable to drop the bowl into the pot and get it as low as possible before you pour out the fish into the sauce. That way you'll minimise spatter. We now want to stir the haddock to combine into the sauce. And allow a minute or so to come back up to the boil. We're now ready to add the rest of the ingredients, beginning with the tarragon, the dill, the prawns, the salt and pepper, the sweetcorn, the peas, and we now just want to give that a good stir to combine. We now want to leave this to simmer for a good few minutes, making sure to stir occasionally to prevent things burning at the bottom of the pan. Once the prawns have turned pink, we can remove the bay leaf and transfer everything into the springform pan. So first things first, I can remove the bay leaf and then switch off brown saute mode. And then using a ladle, we want to transfer into the springform. We now want to give this a good wash. We're now ready to add the mash for the topping. So using an ice cream scoop, we can simply place the mash and then using the fork, now the fish pie is ready to cook in the pressure cooker. We want to add 2 cups of water, approximately 500 millilitres. And now we can simply lift the fish pie directly into the pot and connect the handles. We can then add our lid, checking that it's set to lock and not vent, and place the lid on top. We now want to select manual mode 20 minutes. If you wish to, you can use turbo and that will take it down to 12 minutes. Now that the time is completed, we can instantly depressurize, and if you wish to, take the tea towel over the vent. We can now start, stop or switch off. Now that the pot is depressurized, we can now remove the lid. Using our heat-proof gloves, we want to lift the fish pie and place onto the side, and then using heat-proof gloves directly into the Pyrex baking dish. Meanwhile, if you are choosing to have a side of veg, place in your trivet, place in your veg with a steamer basket, and checking that the lid is set to locked and not vent. Manual mode, 2 minutes. Now that the pot's up to pressure, the timer for the veg has begun at 2 minutes. Meanwhile, we just want to simply unclip and using heat-proof gloves, lift off the springform. Now that the timer has completed, we can instantly depressurize and switch off the pressure cooker. If you wish to, pop the tea towel over the top, and at this point we can add our parmesan. Now that the pot's depressurized, we can remove the lid, and using heat-proof gloves, simply lift out our veggies with the trivet and place them with the fish pie. Give the pot a quick wash. So it's now time for the tasting. The flavour of the sauce and the fish pie is absolutely incredible. The smoked haddock and the light sweet touch of the celeriac mash is something else. The combination of the prawns, the haddock, the slight crunch of the sweetcorn and the vibrance of the peas is just so delicious, you've got to try it. So I hope you're enjoying cooking the food as much as I'm enjoying cooking the food, and I hope you're enjoying eating the food as much as I'm enjoying eating the food. If you like what you've seen today, simply subscribe where you can stay up to date with the latest videos. Thanks again, see you in the next one.